Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. You know what time it is. My name is Robert, and today we're going to go over the anatomy of a movement. I figured it would be really easy to show you how this works rather than try to get in real deep with a mechanical watch. So I 3D printed out a very basic movement here, and we will discuss this, and then we'll move on to the small real-world examples. Huge shout out to It's On My Mind for this model, and to Siegfried Kirches for the other model that I'll show you shortly. They had these models freely available, so I'll go ahead and make sure that their links to these models are in the description. So basically, all movements run this way, not all of them, but the vast majority of mechanical movements, they work by having a careful release of power from a mainspring, which in this model is this piece down here, a careful release of energy from the mainspring via an escapement. An escapement uses an escape wheel, typically has a pallet fork, and then the timekeeping is done with a balance wheel. The balance wheel will swing. You can see on this balance wheel, there is a little nub. This is true for all balance wheels. This will cause it to go forward and flip over the pallet fork. You can see it catches the pallet fork there and then leaves and then springs back. Okay. Now, when I was first getting into watches, I did not understand the wizardry behind this. I was like, how does the balance wheel have infinite energy to bounce? Because like I do this and it stops bouncing. So how does it just always bounce? And the answer is, it's not wizardry. It's just a little bit of engineering. And so what you can see here, if I come to the back, is that there are slants on this pallet fork. The pallet fork is this kind of darker green. And what happens is this escape wheel, which is this part here, this escape wheel will lock up against the pallet fork like this. You can see down here, you can kind of see it locked up. Let me actually move to the other one. You can see the pallet fork is locked up against the escape wheel. And what will happen is when this balance wheel unlocks it, it'll push just enough to unlock it. So now you can see it's unlocked. And now, because this escape wheel is under spring pressure, it'll want to leap forward. And it'll leap forward and it'll push against the slanted surface of the pallet fork, which will then deliver that energy back up the pallet fork and push against this little nub on the balance wheel, which is called the impulse jewel or pallet jewel. So it'll hit it. This will cause it to swing. Then it'll be overcome with spring pressure. It'll come back. It'll hit it again, unlock, and do the same thing over again the other direction. And it just repeats that over and over again. Typically, it'll do this about 6 times a second on a normal movement. It can go up to 8 times a second on really high-end movements, or on really, really high-end movements, it'll do it like 10 times a second. So to show you what this looks like, I'm going to go ahead and wind this. You can see that I'm winding up the mainspring. And then if I set this down, I'm just going to hold this here so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to give it a little kickstart. Now in fancy Swiss movements, you don't need a kickstart because everything is super well lubricated, but this is cheap plastic. So, and you can see if I flip this over, you can see that escape wheel pushing up and causing that balance wheel to swing all the way through until this mainspring is out of energy. Now, what if you had an even bigger mainspring Now that you understand how it works, it'll be easier to show you this using this little movement. In this case, the movement's meant to dance around. It goes all the way around this circle so that it counteracts gravity. Back when pocket watches were all that people used, they would sit vertically all the time. And so a really smart guy called Abraham Louis Breguet invented what he called the tourbillon. And what it does is when your pocket watch is in your pocket all the time and it's vertical, the escapement will go all the way around every minute, so that every minute the effects of gravity are averaged out. And so you get something that does this. Now, so in automatic watches, you don't want to have to physically wind the mainspring. Otherwise, you get situations like this where you have this beautiful Omega Speedmaster that I have to physically wind every single day when I want to use it. So the way that they did this is they put in a winding rotor. And the winding rotor looks like this. You can see this Formex has an automatic movement in it. And throughout the day, as I move around, this weight kind of in the middle here will flip and flop until everything's fully wound. This watch has a micro rotor, so that means the rotor is smaller and off to the side. And you can see it does the same thing. It winds the whole watch as I move, it moves, and it winds the watch. If you get really close on this movement here, let me see if I can get the focus changed here a little bit. I'll go ahead and let you get real close on this one. You can see that this one's got that spinning balance wheel. And then it's got several gears and springs. Usually a watch will have 4 wheels in the train of wheels, called the first wheel, second wheel, center wheel, fourth wheel. And then of course you've got the escape wheel and the balance wheel. So really there's like 6 wheels. If I get you close on this one, you might be able to see. Let me change the focus again. Okay, you can see that balance wheel going. So you can see that balance wheel up there. You can see the mainspring barrel over here. Right there. That's the mainspring barrel. On this one, this balance wheel is a lot smaller. What's really cool about this one is you can actually see the jewels a lot easier. So it's a lot easier to see the bearings that are made of jewels. The reason they do that, they're fake rubies. I mean, they're made out of the same material as real rubies, but they're lab grown. And the point of that is because rubies are incredibly good at being non-frictiony. And you can actually see, if you look in there, underneath that balance wheel, you can see that little fork going back and forth. And in this watch, the mainspring is over here. And of course, you've got the rotor up here. Yeah, so that is the anatomy of a movement. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment if you did, leave a comment if you didn't, and I will see you next time.